And we're rolling. So me and you had this conversation about what we saw. We were saying like women approaching men. Now your
Right.
stance was there's no problem with that. Now give the example that you gave real quick before we get into the next part of it.
The example that I gave when it comes to women approaching men is that it's almost like women gas up men
Right.
to take a risk. Because
Mm.
that's what it is. Like, you're putting yourself out there. It's like men will want to see, like, if he crosses an expressway, it's like a 7-lane expressway,
Mm-hmm.
and if he makes a cross, then the woman will talk to him. But if he doesn't make it, like, he gets hit by a car, he just fails to do it, then it's just, in their mind, he's not worthy enough to talk to me. He's not worth my time.
Or you're
And that's
shy.
not
Or
always
whatever.
fair.
Very true.
That's not always fair. Um, it's like they want the guy to put himself out there to take the risk so they don't have to. And in a way, that's not fair. Because if a woman is attracted to a guy, she wants to talk to a guy, and she wants to see, like, he's want to deal with a long-term relationship, but she doesn't do it. That doesn't make sense. Like, as much as they say the girl won't notice you if you don't talk to them, well, guess what? That goes both ways.
Facts.
The guy will notice you if they don't know that you are attracted to him. Like, there was a girl in my it was in middle school when I was on the basketball team. Go figure. And there was another girl on the girls' basketball team, and we had like a joint practice. It was at the end of practice. We was playing 3 dribbles, and I had the rock. I was on offense, and it was like up to like maybe 5 or 6 points. I had like 4, and she volunteered to guard me. And you and I, we both know how to play defense, okay? You know, you play defense, and, you know, like, we play defense, if somebody is faster than you are, you give them, like, some space. But if they're slower, you try to crowd them or whatnot.
Right.
Now, me, I was one of the better players on the team, and she was kind of like, she was okay. And I got the ball, and, like, she just rushed at me and had her hands up. And she was all on me. All on me. And I'm like, this is not how to play defense. But, okay. And like literally, she was just all on me. And then like she didn't like go past anything like that. And we wasn't like, you know, boyfriend girlfriend, but we could have been, but we was cool with one another. And I remember it was like years after that. It was like a high school. Like, do you remember when we was playing like at the end of practice where you like literally just charged up on me? It was like LOL. Yeah, I remember that. I was just trying to let you know that I was like interested. So in a way, that's her like approaching and taking that step.
See,
In a way.
I made this point to Rashawn about this. Women have no game. That was. Now, and I'm not trying to be funny.
I thought it was funny.
It's funny and they do cute stuff, but a lot of women, like guys, we have to have a mouthpiece, right? So if we're being honest, the way I'm gonna talk to you on here, or how I talk to different females on here, it ain't the same if I'm in the car with you alone and we just talking, right? There's a different level. This part of me is an entertainer. I could do that, but I feel like there's a certain level of intimacy that comes with being alone with the person in person in a car or at the crib, whatever the case may be. So I'm going to speak different. You're going to hear my voice change, things like that. It's a different level of comfort. And I'm very much so comfortable here. You know how you know how confident I am. But I really don't feel that women have game in the sense that they know how to seduce you anymore. It's a lot of women that use their physicality to seduce you in a sense, but it's not really many seductive women. Seductive women, to me, have the coldest game. They have a mouthpiece as well as the looks to go with it. You see what I'm saying? It's one thing to be sexy. It's a lot of sexy people out there. It ain't too many seductive women out there. You see what I'm saying? That they know how to lure you in with their voice, with their projection, with their energy, with their looks. You know what I'm saying? So I look at it like that. Now, another aspect to this conversation, and like I said, I had this conversation with Rashawn, and we were just talking about it, and I thought that your perspective was so different because a lot of us that I like, a lot of people that I hang with are very traditional in different senses. So whether it be marriage, it's probably a little bit consistent there. Whether it be relationships or just health and things like that. I have a lot of people that are traditional in certain senses. And so one of the things that I asked you, and I want you to kind of like speak about on here, is women proposing to men, right? I saw something on Facebook, and it raised the question for me is, what do you like? What do men think about women proposing to men? And when I and Rashawn discussed it, our perspective was, we're traditional. I want to propose to you. I feel like there's certain things that, and part of it, again, you spoke on traditions changing, but I think it's just second nature just to assume that the men should propose. Now, I'm very curious as to, because I'm going to let you give your answer, but why exactly do you feel how you feel about your answer? And go ahead and give them your answer about, men proposing to women, or women proposing to men, rather.
Well, I actually don't mind the fact of women actually proposing to men because I am also, in a way, traditional, but I am also open to change. Because everything that's traditional doesn't mean that it's always right.
Facts.
Time, along with like everything else in life, evolution means that things have to change. Sometimes we want it for better, sometimes we want it for worse. But when it comes to like proposal with marriage, it's just like approaching a woman. It's a risk. Because like we have this thought process like, okay, I want to do this correctly, and I want her to say yes. Like, the biggest risk is like being rejected when you have the ring, because like in a way that's like the ultimate ego killer in a way.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything worse.
There's really nothing worse because you put a lot of thought process a lot of times. Like you want to make sure that it's absolutely perfect because this is the woman that you want to be with for the rest of your life, potentially. And you put all that through, and she says no, and it's kind of like, well, damn, like, what did I do wrong? Like, you don't, like, now all of a sudden, like, you're mentally, like, hurt, and, like, and your heart is broken. And it's like, you don't know where to go from there. And if a woman does it where, like, she feels like, I want to be with him, and she wants to take that step, men, actually, in my opinion, I think that they would appreciate it more. I think we appreciate it more because, like, and that guy could also have the same thought process as her. Yeah. But he don't want to rush it, and he don't want to mess it up. You want to make sure that everything's right. But if a woman just says, like, like, we've done a lot together, we've known each other for a long time, and then she pops up and says, will you marry me? I think a guy, he'll be taken aback and surprised because, like, this is not something that happens often.
It doesn't. It's very rare. So that's why when I said I saw it, it was like, what? Now, obviously, I don't know the outcome, what he said. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. You know what that made me think of? The Abner Preach Button video where she's like, would you pop? No. But no, real shit though, like, I thought about that as you were saying it, and I said, I do like aggressive, feisty women who know what they want. Now, if we are on the same page, I'm really thinking about it because I'm a very open person to a lot of things. I don't think, depending on who it is, like, I probably wouldn't say no. Would it be strange or awkward? Because, like we said, the times are changing. Traditions aren't always the best thing for us. It's always like this misconception about marriage, like even with people back then, right? In, the 70s, 80s, and that, oh, my grandparents and them had a long marriage. Okay. Your grandma used to fuck all free when your dad was out here in the Cold War, right? Like, so I'm just saying, like, a lot of people don't think about that, but it's true. It's like the infidelity stuff, like, people aren't as active sexually now as people think, even though it's a very sexual culture that we live in. But it is a known fact that people back then used to get around. So more than likely, your grandparents or whoever you think had that long, great marriage, just because it was long doesn't mean it was great. A lot of times, those marriages that you think of are shitty. Okay, like, let's be real. There's a reason why most people in this generation that we're in do not want to get married. It's because we've seen the most unhealthy demonstrations of a marriage. So don't get caught up in former, perceptions of, oh, they lived for so long together. I'd rather have been married for 5 years and have a healthy relationship as opposed to 60, and it was 20 years of ups and downs, because life in marriage is not supposed to be hard. We make things hard. We're going to experience hardships, but stop making things so hard and stop complicating the situation. And I do think women not approaching men complicates the situation, because a lot of y'all will give choosing signals, but then your energy changes when we approach, whatever the case may be. And you have to think, it's too, women are too different across the board. You can literally set 10 women up. One woman with like pickup lines, one woman with like hate pickup lines, one with literally like a dad joke as the approach. One woman might not want the man to approach at all. She'd rather approach, and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Like it just, and one woman like the setup or the setting or the environment that you guys are in when you guys meet, and she might try to arrange for something else. So it's too hard to just assume. Men work with what we have. We go off of, are we finding you guys attractive? And what's her personality like? Some of that stuff is what comes to our mind off the break. I'm not going to get into all the stuff we think about. I'm not getting paid for that. I'm just saying that.
Now, I want to actually talk a little bit about the women giving quote-unquote signals.
Uh-huh.
They don't really give signals at all. Like... If they'll try to do like small stuff, like they just like purposely like drop this piece of paper, like drop a receipt, and like the guy will hit the fact that like, oh, you dropped this paper, ma'am, you dropped this. First of all, it's a receipt. Like the two of you, nobody cares about a piece of paper. Like,
that's true. And
for me, like with signals, like I'm trash at that. Like I'm more of like, hey yo, just come talk to me. Like,
okay, but I will say this:
like you shouldn't have to you should have
to play the guessing game
around the bushes, hide, and use secrecy and whatnot. I actually had there was a girl that I was trying to that I wanted to take to the prom, and I didn't really know how to approach her, so I tried use like one of my boys helped me out with that, and she rejected me not because like she didn't want to go out with me to the prom. It was because she I'd much rather have somebody be more direct and just tell me and ask me. So from that standpoint, it's like signals really don't work. Like I find it crazy that like we could talk about anything and everything, but when it comes to like outside of relationship, but when we want to actually want something, we try to give hints and we just don't say it. Just say it.
That's why I'm very direct now. I'd rather be direct and you just be like, I'm not into it, or whatever the case may be. Again, I tell fellas like this: just because she says no in that moment doesn't mean no forever. She might not be in the fucking mood to go on a date. She might not be in the mood, period, to talk to anybody. So you just cannot assume. You just don't know a woman's circumstances. Because I could tell you guys right now, a lot of the girls that used to think, oh, she's a bitch because she had that resting bitch face, as they call it. A lot of those girls that you might think are like that, I mean, from my experiences, they're fucking some of the sweetest women. It's just their mood that day. I have a very unapproachable look some days. Like, I'm ready to knock a nigga's head off. Because I might be ready to. So leave me alone. But I'm just saying, you just don't know when you approach somebody what they're going through in their life. That girl might be ready to break up with her dude or whatever the case may be. And I will say this, there's always two sides to a coin. See, a lot of women have this thing about them where they can be very manipulative, and guys can do this too, but it's really women. Let's be honest. A lot of people can be very manipulative and deceptive, and they'll tell you, oh, my guy isn't doing this or do that, and my guy T-Money made a great point about this before. That's never really the case a lot of the times. You're hearing one side of the story. You don't know what the fuck that couple is going through. You don't know if they're having infidelity issues, and she's part of the reason. She's part of the problem, because a lot of people will cheat on someone who is cheating. A lot of people don't think about that shit. So it's always layers to a situation. Take everything that, and I'm not trying to be funny, but it's the same thing with guys. Unless you're putting action behind it or you can see, you never know. Now, it does lead me into the next part of this, which makes me wonder, okay, because we're talking about marriage and all this other type stuff and the approach. Could you be with a woman who has kids and maybe she approaches you with a certain energy, like she's attracted to you? Could you be with a woman who has kids? Maybe not right now, but could you see yourself doing that? Or a kid, not
right
kids.
Now, like with a woman with a kid, no. For me personally, because in a way, like it puts me in a position of being a father where I'm not ready to be. And another thing too is that if I do actually get in a relationship with a woman that has a child, and it doesn't work out, not only am I leaving her, but I'm also leaving the child as well.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen that before. Yeah.
So it's like it's not just one; it's both. It's if I'm with her, I'm also at some point in time I'm going to get introduced to her son or her daughter. And also another thing too is that I could still potentially become like a third wheel because that's not my child. Because if the father comes in, he will take care of the child. They could still end up becoming a thing and actually getting back together. because there may be something they're trying to work out.
Exactly. Now, see, and I'm glad you mentioned that because that was something that I wanted to get into for the baby moms who are out there. I love a lot of y'all, respect a lot of y'all. I get it. First of all, a lot of y'all are fine as shit. So shout out to you fine motherfuckers out there who are single moms because a lot of y'all can flat out just get this work. Now, however, I will say this. A lot of guys are simply not down for dating single moms, and why a lot of single moms have a problem dating or finding a good mate is simply because, if we're being honest, most of y'all, I don't care about the some of y'all who aren't, most of y'all are still fucking your baby daddy. That's the fact of the matter. I know this for a fact. I ain't gonna say why. I just know. But I'm just saying, like, a lot of you guys do not sever that relationship because you can't, because there's a child involved. And like you said, you don't want to be a third wheel. I'm not fighting for some pussy that's actually mine, because I'm very much so going to be tagging baby moms at the crib. Hope the son don't see it. Like, I mean, is that not one of the reasons you would not date a baby moms? For me personally, I'm not dealing with somebody else who I have to share my woman with. And then a kid means exactly that. I mean, even if the father's not there, there's going to be a certain level of love and interest that you may have had for that man. I don't know the dynamic, but that's your kid. And I feel like it's different for women. Women are more nurturing. That's the nature of a woman in a sense. For you guys are nurturers. We're providers and protectors. It's hard to provide and protect that which is not our own. You see what I'm saying? That's not the nature of a man versus the nature of a woman. You guys nurture any and all things. That's kind of part of your purpose as a woman.
Yeah. I couldn't see myself being in a relationship with a woman who has a child and, like, you know, the father could potentially come back at any time, because I feel like I should be the father of the child that, you know, with the woman that I have a child with. Like, that should be me. That should be like my legacy. It should not be. I shouldn't be taking care of another man's son. I should.
Yeah, no, I couldn't marry that person.
No.
I will say this. I'm not, because engagement does lead to marriage, obviously. I mean, I really do think it depends on the person, because I know there are some damn good women who are single mothers, and I mean, I know the situation with your baby dad, so I know even if we were to have a kid, it's a lot to consider for the man. You have to understand, like, especially when a man's on his purpose, it's hard enough, because even what Tyrone said, I'm not going to take care of no grown-ass woman. I know that I'm not in a position right now to take care of somebody else, because a lot of times I'm not in a position to give myself the time and attention that I need for myself, because I'm simply working on myself. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't get that. But I can want more for myself, but not give myself the time and attention I need. Some people need a vacation, a mental break, whatever the case may be. I don't have time for that. There's shit that I want to do with my life. So right now, at 24, about to be 25, I'm working on my brand, my business. I don't have time for me. I do my meditation. I do what I need to do to keep myself sane, keep myself happy. And I'm very much so a happy person. But outside of just like, oh, I need 4 or 5 days of just no distractions, because I don't have time for that. Because for me, it's God, family, and then there's my business brand. I prioritize myself, which is exactly why I'm not in a dating relationship right now. Or I'm not dating right now or in a relationship. I need that time for myself after, my spirituality, after my faith, and you know what I'm saying, my circumstances with my family and changing my living situation and all that other type of stuff. I have to prioritize me. So if I'm going to deal with a single mom, and not all men are like this, it's very rare for a young guy. I'm not trying to boost myself up, but it's just a fact of the matter. So when you get with a guy who's established or is establishing himself, if you're a single mom, you have to understand, it's tough to now say, well, because if it's a kid, you have to put yourself on the back burner. If I'm dating you, you're a priority, but now I have to put myself on the back burner to you and a child that's not my own. That's very tough. And a lot of women have to understand that and be considerate of that. And my nigga, I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
I hear you now.
Oh, okay. I agree.
Oh, like your shit cut off. I was like, this nigga's fucking up.
No, but I agree with everything. Like, it's a big responsibility, a huge responsibility. It's not just, the woman. And it's like, you really can't build together. You can't, because she already, like, has some sort of foundation, and Meantime, you're trying to build your empire. So, like, it's a lot easier for guys that are in our position to actually be one who's actually trying to build with us and grow with us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you're with a woman who has a child, you gotta grow immediately.
That's true.
Because like now, it's almost like basketball and like you're a bench player. Like, when you get subbed into the game, you gotta be ready to go right then and there.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to get with the flow of the game.
That's true. I mean, and I always kind of wanted to get a single mom on here. I know I have some female friends, but they're not really, at the moment, they're not single. I guess I could still ask them from their experiences. But it's a lot of layers to it. I mean, like you said, it's a big responsibilities. But baby moms, so was this dick. I'm sorry, I had to get that one out. See, that's what I'm saying. I'm too childish now to be taking care of another child. I play too fucking much. I mean, I'm good with kids and stuff like that. But at the same time, a lot of you ladies, if you might not want to hear it, but a lot of you guys, I can't take you seriously now. Simply off of the fact of you think you can approach you because you're afraid of rejection. How you think men feel every single day? That's
like, this is what we go through.
Yes. But you guys are afraid of rejection. It's like what I was telling you before, or we were talking about before with like the Asian girl who was being a total dick. But a guy said something less disrespectful. She was like, I'm going to be alone for everyone. Everyone can go. And the guy was like, you're going to be single for a while. It drained her. But that's the energy you put out. And what he said is a legit fact. Like, women, it is okay to approach. Most of the time, y'all are going to get ejected anyways. I mean, that's the fact of the matter. Y'all would be surprised at how many men find it attractive. I'm not going to speak maybe on the proposal part. I think that's more of a 50-50 crowd. I would be open to it. I'm not saying that I just would say no. I'm not saying that I would prefer that a woman propose to me either. Again, I'm kind of traditional in that sense. But if a woman proposed to me, yeah, I would be taken back by it because you don't see that all the time. But if it's the right one and I really rock with you and care for you and you are showing me that display, again, an aggressive, feisty woman turns me the fuck on. Now, let me clarify this aspect of it too, because a lot of y'all think, oh, I'm a female friend. Oh, he likes that I'm a turn. No. If I'm not fucking you, if I'm not dealing with you in that way, don't think you can just have an attitude and be feisty with me in any way, shape, or form, because that's not. I shut that shit down. So that's just a little heads up for the people out there who think, oh, if I befriend him, oh, he likes that. Don't do that. I'm not one of these kind of guys you can just play those games with. It doesn't fucking work. Again, we can be friends and all this other type stuff. But the reason I even, like I mentioned before, we're talking to my guy T-Money, the reason I even like women being aggressive is because I also am a very dominant person. So I enjoy when I can make an aggressive woman submissive, in a sense. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like that's how a man's supposed to be anyway. I'm a very assertive, dominant person. So it's a turn on when a woman can match my intensity, my fire. That doesn't mean you finna dominate me though. Don't ever get it twisted. It's there's a thing behind it for me. So, and don't think, oh, he's just sadist. We're not finna have these conversations. I mean, we could on here, but I'm just saying, fuck y'all. All right. So, were there any other thoughts that you wanted to throw in before? Because I went off on a tangent and fucked up. My bad.
I would say, to wrap this up, to stop looking for short-term goals and always say this to the long term.
Mm-hmm. You should have short-term, but you gotta for sure look out for the long-term, because the shit that you do now, it's gonna affect what you end up with in the future. If you aren't taking care of yourself mentally, emotionally now, you are not gonna end up in a long-term, healthy, mental, spiritual situation that is healthy for you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. But as long as the short-term, puts you in the right direction of where you want to be in the long term, that's all fine and good.
Right.
But don't just rely on the short term the whole time. Does that make sense?
You see what it is? I know what it is about the short term. See, a lot of people think that the short term only has short term consequences and possibilities. No, your short term, if it doesn't align with your long term, is not a real short term. It is just another path that you're taking just to suffice some kind of need or want at that moment. And that's not how it works. Your short term should benefit your long term. So again, it comes back to maturity, prioritizing things like that. Again, ladies, take the approach. It's such a sexy thing when women know. I mean, it depends on the guy. I personally prefer a woman who takes the approach. I think you, Todd, you're on the same page. Taking initiative
Yeah.
is incredibly sexy to guys like ourselves. I think it's a good look. It shows your genuine interest. Again, I'm at the point right now. If you are not displaying, if you're not, because it's reciprocity. If you want my energy, you have to be having the right type of energy. You have to have the right type of approach to deal with me. So that's just where I'm at with it. I mean, the marriage part, if you feel like proposing to a guy and he's on the same page as you, go for it. Don't be afraid of rejection, ladies, because we deal with it every single day. This is the Uncut Podcast with my guy Todd Jones. Love y'all, man. Follow him on IG at ToddJones.6, or is it Todd Jones 6?
Todd Jones 6. And check this out. Also, you can follow me on Snapchat. Todd Jones 94.
Oh, he finessing all the highs. Okay. Follow me on IG at o.s_echo, OS Echo. Love you guys.
Just chill and sit back, baby. Yeah. Hey, look. R.I.P. to Nando. If I find them motherfuckers, I'll be emptying my ammo. Need that type of shit that make you wanna dim the lights, blow a blunt and light a candle. I'm at a Puerto Rican beach with some Puerto Rican bitches sipping lean and Gucci sandals. I hit Vegas and blew 100K. Damn, man, mama told me not to gamble. Nigga poppin' out, bet I treat him like a blank CD, nigga. I'm about to burn him. I'm kicking shit with some nigga flipping bird like they first name motherfucking Colonel. I been a crazy young nigga since middle school. At the principal at Turner. And my wrist so cold, even in the summertime, make a nigga wear a motherfucking thermal. Where the fuck have you been, the devil? I ain't been in your face, nigga. I been out working.